Hello, my name is Mandolin Royal, and today I'm sitting outside watching the feed trial birds, which are two different genetic groups. There's some from Chase up in Michigan at the recreational homestead, and then there's some from ours as well. And the biggest indicator is the older ones from Chase are getting their big girl voices, and mine are still peeping. Mostly. Because these guys, here in a couple days, they're going to be turning 10 weeks and 12 weeks. I did a weigh-in last week. I'll do another one this week to get a little caught up because I did have some things get in the way of my weekly weigh-in, so that was kind of frustrating. But I have still been measuring the feed, and I still have the per bird data of consumption developing. I'm going to share all that once we get down to the end of what the actual cost to grow was. So one of the things I'm doing here by growing the birds from Chase is to show what it looks like to do the selection when you first get going, because my line is several years past that initial flock development phase. So I do have 4 males in pullet pen, 2 from Chase, 2 from me. Oh my goodness, what are you doing? Nosy, way too friendly. What do you want? Nothing. Over there we have rooster coop. There's 16 males over there. So total, after some did do some self-culling, and they were all from my stock and not Chase's, and that was annoying because I did have a flare-up of coccidia where I lost 6 males of mine. I have 1 pullet in a finishing crate right now who's doing a lot better since I pulled her from the main group. But anytime a bird goes droopy, I pull them out immediately, and I do not do medicated feed. I do not treat the flock at large because I'm working on resistance. We have at least 4 different strains of coccidia on our property. Chase's were unaffected. So that was a little wake-up call that I need to keep doing what I've been doing and keep working on that strength and resilience, which comes in time. Because anytime you're breeding birds, nothing is fast. Even though their life cycle is pretty fast, you get new chickens every 21 days when you set eggs. But working towards that longevity and that health and all of that, it takes every bit of 2 years, really, to have a bird prove themselves with breeding merit. If you rush it and you start hatching from pullets when they're, 6-7 months old, their longevity hasn't been proven. Sorry, I got way sidetracked. I'm also evaluating birds through my camera right now. So if I zoom in on anybody, it's because I had a little mental question that I'll try to remember to say out loud. Now, developmentally, these birds have been pretty similar to ours, but I am seeing a lot of range in how their actual physical traits express. And I'm looking mainly for width of body and width in between the legs, because that's been well established in my line, and those are the ones that look the best in the shrink bag. They grow the fastest, they fill in the fastest, and they have the highest range of market sizes because they never go through that lean period of growth where larger breeds want to grow bone in favor of meat. And it takes quite a while to have that table result versus the medium-sized American Bresse that stay meaty for the entire duration of growth. That's who I'm most interested in finding, and that's where that growth data that I've been collecting all of these weeks is really going to show me who those birds are. And then when I sit out and observe them, I can look at other little details like, well, how do they behave? What's their vigor like? Do they go out the door first thing to range, or do they plant themselves in front of the feeder? There's a lot to consider And the more you want to focus on, the more you want to pay attention to, the more birds you have to have. Because I like to overcomplicate things anyways. But coming up over the next couple of weeks, we're going to be making the short list for the first dinner invites. And we're going to do a staggered processing situation every week or two to get through them, to see what the fat content is like on the Jeff finishing feed that he formulated, because it is not what the French do. So I'm curious on how that pans out, as well as how dark the dark meat thighs are, because they're not supposed to be that dark. They're actually supposed to be pretty mild and tender. And there's a lot of genetic range within their table traits from one flock to another. As well as the skin thickness. They're not supposed to have a thick skin. It's supposed to be pretty delicate, but still hold up in a plucker. But for the breeding stock, I'm looking for the best growers who also turned out pretty correct for what the breed's supposed to be in terms of their coloration, their shape, their structure. I'm looking for everything. That one looks a little knock-kneed. That pullet there. Yeah, it's kind of in the way she walks too, with those knees almost knocking into each other. I want to see straight-legged, wide width. He's kind of showing it a little bit. Yeah, like that. Now at the last weigh-in before they hit 12 weeks, I did have a couple from my group and Chase's group that hit the 4-pound mark or a little bit past it. It's always good to see, because I'm all about the earlier harvest for the sake of tenderness, but also moving through the flock pretty quickly and efficiently. And that's what the turnoff was to me personally for a lot of other varieties. They just took so long before you could start making decisions, because you had to give them the benefit of time to really develop and show the kind of bird that they're made from. And these can do it a little bit faster, which keeps us well fed. He's shaping up pretty good. I wonder whose that one is. He's got pretty good width too. Now in hindsight, I do have all these birds wing banded, but from this perspective, I can't see those bands. Maybe a corresponding leg band for when you're sitting around observing, to have a more ready visual on who is who. You can see that benefit. With the wing bands, I have to wait until weigh day when I get hands-on with everybody. So this weekend for their next weigh day, I'll go ahead and do some documentation on that and give you some numbers at this point, because we're getting pretty close to freezer age. No matter how friendly some of these want to be, temperament is not the end-all be-all. It's just helpful to have a easily managed flock and not a bunch of aggressive lunatics. I like my birds to be easy, nice to have around. Now what they're chowing down on, this is red clover. We like to get a bag of that seed and throw it anywhere we've got blank spots that need filled in. It's really pretty. Rooster coop has eaten theirs most of the way gone. I've got another little area here that I'm going to let go to seed. And these guys are going to eat through probably most of this. But this is just a quick little update. I'm not going to get hands-on with them today. Just checking to see how everybody's doing. And they look great for the most part. I see some I would eat, but that's all part of it. I always focus on finding who I can eat first. And then based on what I have left from that, that's when I start picking who's most correct for the breed to figure out who the strongest breeding stock is going to be. Freezer first. So more on this later. Feel free to like and subscribe because we're coming into the home stretch of this feed trial when we're getting to the actual cost to grow, the feed conversion rate, and what the table results are going to be like. Except that guy, I like him a lot. He's going to stick around for a little while. We'll let him finish out. Show us what he's made of. Alright, back to work. Alright, I have some added notes. I'm trying to keep you guys as informed as I can on this. And right now, I'm over in Rooster Coop with these three jokers. And some other birds practicing their crows. Now, as you can see, they've pretty well eaten down everything we had seeded in here. And I've been monitoring their daily feed intake. So on Jeff's finishing formulation, which is a 17% protein with 7% fat content, they're averaging 3 ounces a day per bird at the 10 to 12 week point. They're coming outside and they're spending a lot of time outside doing chicken things and eating the free feed. So as far as the expense, 3 ounces per day per bird really isn't that bad. It's actually less than average when you're looking into lesser quality feeds. There's a couple of boys in here that are catching my attention. This one, I got a glance at his side profile. Oh yeah. That's actually going to be a pretty nice bird right there, so far as I can tell. I do like to pull my favorites early and grow them with the pullets, and that's the 4 boys that I have over there now. But one of them wasn't quite keeping up with the others. So I'm kind of shopping through Rooster Coop to see if there's another viable contender or two to replace that one. Some of the other differences I'm seeing, they all have really good body length, but there's some big disparities in body width and how thick their bones are too. Because I know Chase up there at Recreational Homestead, he has 3 very distinct lines and he spiral breeds them. So he's a really good source to get almost like the full scope of genetic possibilities. And in a breeding program such as that, the more you can bring in, the better. And then you sort out what you want. What you want your flock to be is what you select for. If you're not sure what that is, order in as many as you can grow them out, and pick off what you want. And that's one of the reasons why I requested stock from him for this trial, because I do like what I like, and I want to be able to select and find what I do like. I'm watching these 2 boys figure out their standing with each other, and to figure out if either one is way too aggressive, because anybody that's too aggressive, I pull them right on out and go ahead and do the deed. If they are relentless, you don't want that bird. The bigger guy seems to be holding himself pretty well. Smaller one gave up, walked off. He made one final point and did not pursue into the corner. I'll take that. That was pretty good, actually. Ooh, that one looks pretty nice, too. What are you talking about, Rooster? No, what are you talking about? You're kind of funny looking. I don't like his comb. Now, they are molting feathers and regrowing feathers. They're right smack in the middle of the teenager phase of growth. So I can't judge them too harshly on tails or wings or any of that, because they're still growing it in. Still watching this drama over here. Like, the other one tried to get involved and the bigger one said no. That second one said no. What are you guys doing? They do not want my involvement, that's for sure. Do you think you're Mr. Big Britches? Ooh, nice width. What do you think, buddy? Should I call you Billy? Your legs are too pale. We need darker leg color. Are you gonna offer me a treat or a fight? What are you doing? Not fighting with me. I like his head. I like his beak. You need to grow in a lot more feathers, buddy. You look a little ragged. So this is definitely a wonky phase for this bird. But based on some of his other attributes, I kind of want to see what he's going to be like here in another 3-4 weeks. I don't think he's a first phase call. Well, he's a bit shallow in the chest. Maybe it'll drop in later. Maybe it won't. I think he's just real lanky right now. And he would benefit from some more growth. This one is a lot more developed. Every time you hang out with them, try to get to know them a little bit more. To learn how they grow, when they grow, what traits they express, and pick off the traits that are important to you and what your flock goals are. This guy seems pretty well balanced. Pretty even temperament too. A little on the small side, but maybe it's one of mine that's 2 weeks younger. This guy seems to have pretty good leadership ability. But we'll have to see how he finishes his molt and how he feathers in. And if that comb ends up too big, he might be a little bit knock-kneed with how he's standing like that. Those legs are not squared up. We'll see how they keep developing. Alright, that's all I got for today. More on this later.